either dhikr or knowledge. And these are the two paths to God. The path of the ulama is not the path of the ubbad. Every alim is a abid by nature, because our tradition is ibadah. But the ibadah of the alim is study. And this is something that a lot of students of knowledge fail to understand within the tradition. And this is why within our tradition, these people that are opposed to tradition have been very successful, because they take the so-called traditionalists and they look at their activities and their practices, and very often they've lost study as a foundation of their tradition. They're more interested in doing mawalid or doing inshad, which is not the way of the ulama. The way of the ulama was not having like gatherings of dhikr. The way of the ulama was study. The way of the ulama was dars and transmission and naql and mastering the ulum. It takes a lifetime to master the Islamic tradition of immense study and hard work. We don't have people that have that himma anymore. And this is part of our crises, is that we have so much ignorance, widespread ignorance. And this is why when people come with refutations and proofs, even if they're fallacious ones, they're very often, the traditionalists are unable to actually refute them, because they don't have knowledge anymore. All they can say is, oh, he's a Wahhabi, or this is their response, is just to say, oh, and dismiss them like this. But meanwhile, these other schools spread more and more, because the traditionalists in many ways have abandoned their tradition. They give it lip service and they tell how important it is, but they actually don't really do the work needed to preserve the tradition. Because you can have a library with all the books on the shelves, but if you never open the books, all you're preserving is the books. And Allah faults the Jews for that. كَمِثِلَ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا, like the donkey that carries books on its back, if you don't understand the tradition. And this is why one of the things at Zaytuna that's been, for me, bête noire, is this students coming in thinking that they're going to be doing dhikr and doing things, and I'm not interested in that. I want them memorizing Quran and studying. The best practice of ibadah, if you want to do extra ibadah, is to memorize the Quran. Instead of singing qasidas that are nice. I like qasidas, I like poetry, they're nice, but you can sing qasidas until the cows come home. It's not going to rectify the crises of our ummah. And the proof is, in many of the places where the worst calamities are happening, those places were filled with qasida singing and filled with mawalid. And that's the truth. And it didn't prevent these fitan from happening. This is this is a civilization of knowledge. This is the civilization of knowledge. Franz Rosenthal, the great Jewish Orientalist and historian, who was a world-class historian, he wrote a book called Knowledge Triumphant, arguing that he could not find any civilization in human history like the Islamic civilization, because this is a civilization, he said, that put the pursuit, the acquisition, the development, and the transmission of knowledge at the forefront of its existence. Its very reason for existence was knowledge itself. And the Prophet ﷺ was a seeker of knowledge. He was a seeker of knowledge. Why was he up in the cave? What was he trying to do in the cave? He was trying to know reality. He wanted to know reality. كَانَ يَتَحَنَّثُ. And the Prophet ﷺ, what is the first commandment that he's given once that reality addresses him? اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Read in the name of your Lord. And then tells him that he's the one that علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. He taught with the pen, and he taught the human being what he didn't know. So at the very beginning of the revelation is Read in the name of your Lord. Read. Who taught with the pen? He taught with the pen, and he taught man what he didn't know.